It's time for the Georgia State Sports Update. Dave Cohen here at the Georgia Dome, along with Brandon Leake and Harper LaBelle, 37-3. The final score. Appalachian State goes to 4-1. Georgia State drops to 1-4. And Brandon, tough loss for Georgia State. Again, now 1-4. And seemed like Appy came out and set the tone very early on with their first play on their first offensive possession with that long pass from Taylor Lamb downfield.
Yes, you have to give the Mountaineers credit. They came out and executed well offensively and defensively. But early in the game, it was the explosive plays. Their first play from scrimmage got them down the field in a hurry. And so it was one of the things that the Georgia State Panther defense had to combat and deal with all Saturday long.
And Harper, when you talk about Appalachian State, we knew coming in that they could run the football. I think the second best rushing football team so far through 4 games, now 5 games in the Sun Belt Conference. And, you know, it wasn't just Marcus Cox. They were able to get a bunch of different guys in there running the football. But Taylor Lamb, one of the more dangerous quarterbacks as well. They're just very well balanced, whether it's on the ground or in the air.
He's had several games where he's had 2, 3 touchdowns. This one against Georgia State, 3 more touchdowns. He's only a sophomore, Dave. He's from Calhoun, Georgia. He's just up the road. He knows how to play the position and has done a fantastic job of leading the team. He's got a good offensive line around him too. That makes it great for the for the attempts at rushing the ball, and they're leading the conference there, but it gives him the confidence in the backfield to be able to throw it and hit the guys that he needs to. He's done a great job.
And as you know, third downs are key. They were right at 50%, 8 out of 16. And you know, when they needed them, they came up with some big third down conversions to keep their offense on the field.
And we didn't help with a couple of penalties, and there were some plays just a little bit short, but a little too little, not quite at the right time for Georgia State. But everything else that they do, just on an offensive perspective, they had a juggernaut going, and it worked very well on Saturday.
Well, we knew Brandon, and we've talked to Coach Miles about it on the radio shows about, you know, the offensive line, and we knew the offensive line would have a challenge this week being able to protect Nick, or in this case, Nick and Amir Scaife, who we saw for a little bit, but way too many times where they were able to get some quick pressure on Nick and wreak havoc in the backfield, and next thing you know, with too many 3 and outs because of the pressure.
You always hear coaches say you don't want to play behind the sticks. You don't want to be at 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and when you have a team like Appalachian State able to come in and win on some of those blitzing downs, it really disrupted the Panthers' offense, and so in doing so, what it caused was a lot of 3rd down plays where the Panthers had to really try to do some things on 3rd and long. As a result, you have some plays that don't go your way and you end up punting the ball away.
Of course, then we watched all afternoon guys like John Law, big number 88, one of their linebackers, and truly one of the best linebackers in the Sun Belt Conference, first team all Sun Belt Conference, able to get, you know, pressure. He's big, he's fast, and really, you know, a lot to deal with if you're an offensive lineman.
Yeah, big, fast, strong, and smart. Everything a football coach wants. John Law is a game wrecker, and so when you deal with a player like that, you have to make sure that you affect him enough just to keep him off of your quarterback or your running back, just enough for someone to make a play. Unfortunately, you were in the midst of a very good player in the Sun Belt, and he did what he was supposed to do, but it wasn't like he completely dominated the game. What happened was it was a well-balanced attack offensively and defensively by the Mountaineers, and the Panthers just need to make sure they do a good job of going back and making the corrections during practice.
Yeah, 207 yards rushing today for Appalachian State, 291 by Taylor Lamb, and a little bit by J.P. Caruso through the air. Harper, for us, only 225 total yards, 59 yards on the ground. That doesn't bode well for keeping your offense on the field.
When you're playing from behind, you've got to throw a little more offense. So we didn't gain as many yards offensively on the ground as I think any of us would be satisfied with. But the fact that we couldn't manipulate the passing game the way that we have in the past, we're used to Nick Arbuckle's throwing for 200, 300, 400 yards. This was 166, so a little disappointing in that respect. And there were some drop balls. There were some guys that didn't get open quite as quickly or as as well as we've seen in the past, and give credit where Appalachian State's defense is. They blitzed on many occasions. If there were 5 offensive linemen, they'd blitz 6 or 7. If there were 6 linemen and a tight end in, they'd bring 8. Whatever it was to create an odd man advantage, and the secondary answered by covering just well enough to where those passes didn't fall complete today for the Panthers.
Yeah, other than the one game, the win at New Mexico State, when we rushed for over 200 yards, we've struggled to run the football. If you're watching the film of last week's game against Liberty, and you see how we scored on long passes downfield, if you can take that away, then you're more than likely going to have success against Georgia State. And they took Penny Hart out of the game, took Robert Davis out of the game, took, for the most part, Donovan Harden out of the game.
Limited receptions. We're used to Penny Hart getting 10, 9
right.
a game, and when you only have 4 or 5 as your leading receiver, that does create some havoc and puts different pressure on the offense and the play calling in ways that we weren't able to do there very well today.
And for the most part, when you talk about turnovers, we said throughout the game, stay away from Latrell Gibbs. He was at the right place at the right time on the ball that Nick popped out of Nick's hands. He picks it up, runs into the end zone. A couple of turnovers today along with the DeMarcus Kirk fumble, but that really wasn't what cost Georgia State the game on Saturday.
It's unfortunate to ever see turnovers, but that one came when it was already 30-3. It was really just an extra touchdown defensively for Appalachian State. But coming into the fourth quarter, you still want to play cleanly.
Right.
And so penalties, turnovers, fumbles, those things did show up in the fourth quarter. You want to make sure that your habits are good no matter whether it's the first quarter, halftime, or the fourth quarter. You always want to play a clean game or as cleanly as possible. And unfortunately, we didn't do that. So something else to work on in practice.
Well, again, talk about going back to practice. Again, as I said when we sat here last week, you played collegiately and professionally. And when you don't have a good game, sometimes it's tough to go back to practice. And for this Georgia State team, it's tough to go back to practice after losing a tough one last week and then losing this one 37-3, but Ball State's right around the corner and got to go to Muncie and play some more football.
Yeah, if you allow me to, when Appalachian State, when Gibbs got that interception, everybody on the offense, the guys on the extra point, the whole team embraced him. And it was a real interesting, just a few moments that I got a chance to watch that and see what they were doing where it encompassed everybody. It was like the completion or the culmination of everybody did something well, and they all got to participate in that as a team. Well, what does GSU do this week coming up? You've got to bring that teamwork back together again. You got to find some way in your locker room, in your meeting rooms, on the practice field, and then transfer that over in the plane trip and then on to Muncie and be able to play well. We do very well on the road. I'm surprised at how well we've played on the road compared to some of the other places, I mean, especially at home. So I'm looking forward to us going on the road, and I think we'll have a pretty good week of practice. That's not going to do it. You have to have a great week of practice and then get that in your mindset.
All right, so Georgia State back on the road coming up on Saturday, going to be in Muncie, Indiana to take on the Ball State Cardinals out of the MAC. I want to thank Harper LaBelle and Brandon Leak. Final score again, 37-3 here at the Georgia Dome. Panthers fall to Appalachian State. I'm Dave Cohen here on the Georgia State Sports Update.
The sun is shining every day.
The throw, and it's there, and it's caught. It's going to be a first down for Georgia State. Back in studio with Georgia State's head football coach Trent Miles. Panthers losing to Appalachian State this past Saturday, 37-3. The final score, tough one. We saw the best team, at least so far, in the Sun Belt Conference right now. Everybody figured it would be Appalachian State and Georgia Southern. We don't go to Statesboro till the final game of the season. App State right now looks to me to be the best team in the league.
They looked good. They looked, obviously, I mean, offensively, they were able to control the ball, do what they want, hit us with big plays over the top. We did a good job of handling their running back, but at the same time, they were still able to pop some runs, by the quarterback, a missed assignment. He takes a long run, and they got us over our heads. We didn't play the ball very well and had some pass interference penalties, and then defensively, they got after us pretty good up front. They're a solid team. I think that's what separates them from a lot of teams. You'll have teams that are great on offense and average or bad on defense, or great on defense and average or bad on offense. They're really good on defense and they're really good on offense.
They're an interesting team too. Everybody talks about recruiting Atlanta and recruiting the state of Georgia. 26 kids on that roster, including a number of the starters, are Atlanta area Georgia kids who are pretty good players. We're talking first, second teamers in the Sun Belt Conference. Yes. So everybody recruits Atlanta, but that was like that game just kind of stood out because I got so many kids from this area.
Yeah, and everybody does in our conference, and in the SEC and ACC, and look at Big Ten rosters. The Georgia area is one of the top 4 areas of all the nation for high school recruiting. So they're out there, and there's enough to go around, and we like the ones that we have, and we just got to keep getting them better and getting them older.
All right, well, you got Ball State coming up, and you're going to be back in your home state of Indiana. You're a Terre Haute guy, played at Indiana State. I know this is Muncie, Indiana, but your thoughts on this Ball State team? Ball State playing in that very tough Mid-America Conference.
They're a good football team. Pete Limbo does a great job. They've had some success for the last few years of beating Power 5 teams. They can run the ball. They have a freshman quarterback that they went to this year that throws it really well. Is a big young man from right in that area. I think Yorktown High School. I think his dad's a coach. They're big up front. Defensively, they're big and strong, and they get after it. So, we'll have our hands full. We've got to go play our best football, and I still believe, and our players believe, that it's a long season. It still has 7 games to go. We have an opportunity to go out and be 1-0 this week and get a quality win and represent the Sun Belt.
All right, Georgia State again on the road this week in Muncie, Indiana, going to take on the Cardinals of Ball State. Time now for questions for Coach Miles. Our cameras have been across campus here at Georgia State. Here are this week's questions for Coach Trent Miles.
Hey, my name is Akbar Shabazz Jenkins. I'm a political science major. I've got an anthropology minor, and I have a question. Coach, does the same player usually do all the kicking for the team, or is that something that's unique to Georgia State?
Well, some programs do, but the majority don't. We were in a situation where Will Lutz is outstanding at kicking off and kicking field goals, and he's been outstanding this year in punting, so there was no reason to go any other direction and let him handle it. We don't believe it's too much of a load for him, and he doesn't either. So, plus it also showcases his talents for the next level, and that's what we're always hoping to. 1, we win football games, but 2, our young men graduate, and if they want to, and if they're able to get an opportunity to play at the next level. So it's helping him in that regards, but it's not unique. Most programs don't do it, but some do, and it just depends on the young man that you have doing the kicking and the punting.
Hi, Coach. My name is Nicholas Swaminathan, and I'm a philosophy major here at GSU. I have a question for you. How many coaches is the NCAA football team allowed to have in their program?
On a college football team, per NCAA rule, in the FBS, you're allowed 9 full-time coaches, a head coach, 4 graduate assistants that can coach on the field, strength and conditioning staff. You're allowed a recruiting office. You're allowed quality control coaches. At Georgia State, we are able to have the 9 full-time assistants on the field. We have the 4 graduate assistants that work on the field. We have a director of player personnel, and he has a graduate assistant. We have a director of football operations. We have a strength coach who has a couple assistants under him. So we're continuing to grow our program. We haven't had the ability to have quality control coaches yet, but hopefully that grows in the future and will help assist our program. In the FCS 1AA, you're allowed 6 full-time coaches, a head coach, and 4 restricted earnings coaches and/or graduate assistants. So that's the difference in the programs, and those are all established by the NCAA.
My name is Tisa Talley, and I'm a film student. Coach, with your busy schedule, how do you relax during this season, and how do you relax during the off season?
Well, during the season with a busy schedule, the only way I really relax is I work out. I get a chance on one time a week. I usually get a chance to go see my daughter play football, which is tackle football, in the NYO Youth Football League in Chastain Park. And every now and then, if I'm lucky enough, I get to see my son, who's 5, play flag football. But my relaxing time is spent with my family and working out. In the off season, I like to make sure that I take the family home to see all of our extended family, and what I do is cook. I'm a major cook. My favorite channel is the Food Network, which I spend a lot of time in the summertime watching to get my ideas, and I take great pride in being able to not just grill, but to cook off the stove and cook for my family and friends, and eventually I will enter some competitions.
All right, well, thanks everybody for your questions this week. We'll have more questions for Coach Miles coming up on our show coming up next Thursday and Friday. And I didn't know this cooking thing. I knew you like to work out because you're on the treadmill a lot over in the weight center over at the practice facility, and but didn't know about the cooking thing.
Oh, it's a passion. I love it, and man, I'm gonna brag a little bit. I'm pretty good.
All right, well, we got to get Coach to bring lunch here to the set here sometime here in the near future. Coach, appreciate it. Let's go get a win in Muncie, and then we'll see you here next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, an exciting time at Georgia State. Again, football at Ball State. Georgia State basketball as well, right around the corner for head coach Ron Hunter and Sharon Baldwin-Tenner. And our Cali man was at the GSU Jams event to kick off the season this past week at the Georgia State Sports Arena.
I'm here at the GSU Arena, home of the Sun Belt champion Panthers. Panther fans come to the GSU Jam to get excited about the basketball team in the upcoming season. I got in on that action. Jam has already gotten off to an electric start. Coach Hunter teaching us a little bit about dancing, but now it's time for the three-point contest. With Coach Tenner, head women's basketball coach. Coach, how important is it to have events like this?
I think it's awesome for the students to get involved and be able to meet the players and actually participate in some events with them and get a glimpse of the men's and women's basketball team.
Have you seen this GSU Jam before?
Yes, it's been awesome. I mean, there's been a great turnout. Students are really supportive, and they come out and they're a big factor in our games as well.
Well, GSU Jams has drawn to a close, but the excitement for the upcoming season reigns on. Both teams set to start the season November 13th. Dave, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Callie, from the Sports Arena. We're looking forward to Georgia State basketball getting underway in November. Looking forward to a great season for both the men and the women. Right now, it is time to take a look at what's coming up this week in Georgia State athletics. On Friday, October 16th, we've got women's soccer on the road in Mobile, Alabama. They're going to take on South Alabama. That game will start at 7 o'clock Eastern. Saturday, October 17th, Georgia State football on the road to Muncie, Indiana. Going to take on the Ball State Cardinals. Kickoff 3 p.m. Eastern Time. On Sunday, October 18th, women's soccer at home against the Trojans of Troy at the Georgia State Soccer Complex. That match will start at 1 p.m. And then on Friday, October 23rd, it's court volleyball hosting UT Arlington, 6 o'clock at the GSU Sports Arena. And that's what's going on this week in Georgia State athletics.
So playing for Georgia State just gives you so many opportunities in a diverse city setting. And so growing up in Georgia, you hear a lot about the city, but you don't really know the city until you actually get to live in it. I chose Georgia State because it was close to home, but not only that, it was also a great place to step out of my comfort zone, because I grew up in a smaller town in Georgia, and just experiencing something different was something that I really wanted.
I thought I wanted somewhere that was in the middle of nowhere, like I could just do whatever, and I went off and did it, and I realized that's not what I wanted at all. I'm a city girl down deep inside, and I needed that, and coming back here, I just learned so much more about the city here at Georgia State than I knew living right down the street.
I'm originally from Gwinnett County. That's about an hour away from Georgia State University.
It was very suburban-like, so coming to Georgia State, living in a big city, it was a big change. Playing on a volleyball team with 13 other girls is one of the best experiences ever, because you get to have 13 other sisters and family members.
We have a very diverse team, and we have girls from all over the country.
Downtown is so culturally diverse rather than from where I'm from. Everyone looks the same where I'm from, everyone does the same things. Downtown I see so many different people, they do so many different things, and I just get to meet so many great, amazing people here at Georgia State. You know Georgia State's down here, but you never really realize how much of Georgia State is taken over by the city.
Well, Centennial Park is really close. It's definitely within walking distance, and there's also the aquarium and the Coke Museum. And there's also a lot of music festivals like Music Midtown and so many different things.
I like the Krog Street Market area and Highland Bakery over towards, or Highland Avenue over towards that area. It's just a very cool part of town.
We have the Dome, and they're building the new Falcons Dome right around the corner from us, so that's going to open up a lot of opportunities in Atlanta.
I just recently changed my major to exercise science. And the new Falcons Stadium, they're doing a rehab therapy center. I'm really excited about the future, just seeing the opportunities here.
I enjoyed living in the city a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's a big difference, but I love being able to walk everywhere. We walk to the Publix down the street to get our groceries. We walk from every class to and from the gym, and I find it very cool that it's all accessible.
I just remember this past summer going to Centennial Park with all of my teammates, and I never knew that they do such a big party for the 4th of July here at Centennial Park. So just going there and having fun with all of my teammates and just seeing that that is an opportunity rather than the same thing that my family did every year was great. So my teammates, these 13 great other girls, we're best friends. All of us are different. Being sisters, everyone has their problems, everyone has their quarrels, but we all, at the end of the day, still hang out during the weekends. Even on our off time, we're together all the time, and that's a great thing to have as a female athlete.
Everyone here and who's on the staff wants to see us succeed as a person, not just as an athlete, because a lot of times you could see people only care about you for your body and how you're going to help their school and their name, but they care about us as people, and that was one big reason why I chose Georgia State University.
In this week's segment of Panther Pump with Scott Holsopple and Kobe Kramer from our Strength and Conditioning Department, they're going to talk to us about how to properly exercise your neck and shoulders.
Now, one of my favorite things to train, and also what I believe is one of the most important things to train, is training your neck. There's no substitute for safety. And so first we're going to show you our neck, and we're going to continue on with the traps. That way we're trying to strengthen the whole neck and upper trap back area to help reduce concussive forces. First, you're going to see Coach Kramer. We're going to set his seat height. You know his seat height is set on 5. So he's going to dress it, step into it. When he pushes his face directly into the pad. Now that's his starting position, which is neutral. He drives his face down through the pad, pauses at the bottom, 1. Counts it just like we count all of our reps. Comes back under control, perpendicular to the ground. Drive through. 2. Every rep is performed perfect. You see how his body's nice and vertical. 3. And that's how we do front of the neck. All the way down. 4. All right, coach, you go ahead and set it down. Now, on this machine, we also know it's a 4-way neck machine. So we drop the seat from 5 to 6. He's going to get in the back, and now we're going to do neck extension, or what most of our guys know is back to the neck. Same thing. Head through the pad, chin to chest to start off with. He drives back through, looks to the sky, pause, 1. Under control every rep. Chin to chest, drive, pause, 2. Every rep controlled and perfect, great pause, 3. And one more here, 4. Good, relax and set it down. After flexion extension, or front to back as we call it, we'll go to the side. Coach Kramer will spin to the side, keeping the same seat height as what he had back to neck. You can see he's nice and tight in there. He drives through the side. 1. Always getting a pause. And see how his neck, 2. His neck is doing all the work, not his body. Great, perfect reps. Good, let's go one more, coach. Good, set it down, and then he'd spin around the other way. As we said, it's a 4-way neck machine. So we did flexion, extension, and lateral flexion to each side. Nice and tight. Good pause. Perfect. 2. Great reps here. Controlling it. 3. 4. That's the way coach and set it down. So we did 4 reps on a 4-way neck machine. Next, we'll be going into our shrugs. Today we're going to be doing what most of you refer to as dumbbell shrugs. For us, they're power blocks. They're just adjustable dumbbells. It's just another great variety and tool that we have here. Coach Kramer's going to step up. He's going to adjust the weight. Once again, remember, it's not always just of how you do the exercise, it's also how you start and finish. I want to make sure that he bends his knees to pick the blocks up with. He's got a flat back, he pulls it out, abs tight. Now, one of the most important things here is to make sure he's got a pause. He's going through a full range of motion. So you can see he starts at the bottom range of motion. He raises him up, pauses at the top. Notice straight up. 1. Same thing as we always do. All the way down, drives right back up, holds it. 2. You can keep your head straight or down. Big pull up. 3. And if you look at his lower body, his heels are also on the ground. A lot of people like to rock forward and use their lower body to try to help use momentum to get them up. I want to focus on just the upper body. After about 15 to 20 reps of perfect weight, we'll rack them up the same way, put them back in the rack, and then we're done with our neck and shrugs today. I'll see you guys next week when we start off on our upper body.
Again, thanks to Scott and Kobe for showing us how to exercise our neck and shoulders. We'll have them back again on the show next week. A reminder, Georgia State football back on the road this week. We're going to be up in Muncie, Indiana on Saturday. Georgia State against the Cardinals of Ball State. That game will kick off 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll do it for our show this week. Want to thank the entire crew, and for Coach Miles, I'm Dave Cohen. Thanks for watching the Georgia State Sports Update.